Hi, welcome to the application video for Unit 2B, Lesson 2, Graphing Systems of Inequalities. So let's get straight to it. Robin wants to plant at least 75 acres of corn and 100 acres of potatoes. She has no more than 250 acres on which to plant her crops. So the first thing I'm going to do is go through and highlight the important information and kind of boil it down to just the math and get rid of all the extra stuff. So the first thing is she wants at least 75 acres of corn, and then it says she also wants at least 100 acres of potatoes. And then the last piece of information is that she has no more than 250 acres on which to plant. All right, so the next thing I need to do is to define my variables. So I've got two unknowns, the amount of corn she's going to plant, the amount of potatoes she's going to plant. So I'm just going to let X be acres of corn, and I'm going to let Y be acres of potatoes. It doesn't matter which is which because there's not one that's clearly an independent and one that's clearly a dependent variable. All right, now we've got to write some inequalities that represent what we've got here. So the fact that she wants at least 75 acres of corn, that means the amount of corn can be greater than or equal to 75. So remember, X represents corn. The fact that she wants 100 acres of potatoes at least means that my amount of potatoes can be greater than or equal to 100. Now, I have one more piece of information that needs to be translated into an inequality. It says she has no more than 250 acres to plant on. So that means if I put my corn together with my potatoes, so we do that with addition, then that must be less than or equal to 250 because she's only got 250 acres. So that cannot be greater than 250. All right, now I'm ready to start trying to graph it. I've done the first thing it asked me to do, which was to write it. Now I need to graph this inequality. So I'm going to need to, since we only gave you this little grid, we need to take the time to actually turn this into a coordinate plane. Now, because I'm talking about just corn and potatoes here, I'm not going to have a negative amount of corn or a negative amount of potatoes. So I can just go and look at just my first quadrant. So just where everything is positive here. And the second thing I've got to look at is what do I need to count by here? Because counting by one is going to be impractical. It would take forever to get up to 75. I'd have to be way up here. So I am going to, I think, count by, I don't know, 25 seems good. So let's say this is 25. Ooh, make it smaller. This is 25. And then, let's see. Let's erase that. Okay. So 25, 50, 75, 100. I'm just going to write every other one so that I have room. 150 and so on. And because the corn and the potatoes are kind of comparable, we can do the same on the bottom. 25, 50, 75, 100, and so on. All right, so now I'm ready to finally start graphing the thing. The first one is X is greater than or equal to 75. So I'm going to do that in green. And we're going to say on my x-axis, I'm going to go over to 75, which is right here between 50 and 100. And it is going to be a vertical line straight up because X, this is all the X values that are equal to 75. Now, because it's an inequality, I have to think about shading. So X is greater than or equal to 75 is going to be all of this area over here. So let's make this really large. And it's going to be all of this, everywhere where X is bigger than 75. Okay? Then we're going to go Y is greater than or equal to 100. So back over here. And this time let's make it blue for potatoes. I don't know why potatoes are blue, but they are. So we're going to go on my y-axis up to 100. And all the values where y is equal to 100 are this horizontal line here. Because I want more than 100 acres of potatoes, this is going to be above. So I'm going to shade again above that line. I think I have a way to make it look pretty so you can still see what's going on. Nope, I don't. Okay, so we're going to go everywhere above that line. So far the solution to this system is just this green area where the two are shaded together. But I still have one more to graph. In order to graph this one though, I've got to first put it in slope-intercept form because we haven't really talked about how to graph this when it's in this standard form here. So I'm going to subtract x from both sides of my inequality. That leaves me with just y over here, which is what I want. Over here, I have negative x and I have 250. So that means my y-intercept is going to be up here at 250. So if this is 150, that's 175, 200, 225, 250. Here's my intercept. A slope of negative 1 means I'm going down 1 to the right 1. Technically, I just went down 25 to the right 25, but it simplifies to negative 1, so that's okay. Right, so now I'm ready to draw my line. Again, this is equal to, so it gets to be a solid line. So I'm going to start here and go down. Okay, so now we're just ready to shade it. This says y is less than or equal to negative x plus 20, so I'm shading all the values where y is less than this line. So that's going to be this area down here. So that means that the solution that models this scenario is going to be right here. Like fancy white lines. So this little triangle is the boundary for all the solutions, all the amounts of corn that she can plant. So everywhere from, let's see, corn was X, so 50 to 25, 150 acres of corn, and then potatoes is going to be up here. So that's your solution set. If you have any questions, please let us know.